The story begins with a brutal war. Among all who fight, one stands out. He has incredible sword skills and wears dark clothes. He is Prince Arnold Hein, and he initiated a war against the whole world. Entering the castle, all the remaining soldiers guard the entrance to where the princes of that kingdom are. There we see Riche, our protagonist. Arnold walks slowly and easily subdues all his opponents, one by one. Even with an open counterattack, Riche can hardly touch him. She vomits blood. Her enemy's sword pierced her completely. She thinks about having lived this life to the fullest, but in the next. So, time rewinds. It goes back to the time when she was rejected by her fiancé, Prince Dietrich. But she simply accepts and snubs that prince as if he were not important at all. She leaves there and thinks about going back again. This is not the second, nor the third, but her seventh life. She can still remember her first life. She was indeed very surprised when she was rejected by that prince. He accused her of various false crimes, and because of that, her own parents abandoned her. She was at the mercy of the streets, wandered aimlessly until she fell to her knees on a dirt road, wondering what to do next. This is when she meets the traveling merchants, traders. The head of that gang asks Riche if she would like to join them and go to the next town. His group teases him, but he says he knows how to judge people. He admires Riche's clothes. Even in the moonlight, the fabric is beautiful. Just by looking at her, he guesses where those clothes are from, saying that she must be a noble. In response, she takes off her ring and offers it for sale, catching the merchant's attention. She travels with the group. We see that they are like adventurers, seeking goods that ignite their hearts and selling to people who get as excited as they do. When the seller and the buyer love the product, it creates profit. That's the motto of the Aria Trading Company. Riche admires this a lot. The merchant sees that she liked it and that she is like a blank canvas. He invites her to journey with them. She is no longer tied to a prince. She can go wherever she wants. She is free to do whatever she wants. I liked the motto of these merchants. So, in her first life, Riche learned about commerce with Tully, the boss. Later, she set off alone on a new journey, awakening a hidden dream of visiting and getting to know all the countries. When she was missing one country, she got involved in a war and ended up losing her life. So she returned for the first time to her checkpoint. She is surprised by all of this. She thinks it's a dream and pinches her cheeks. She sees that all this is real and thinks it's a second chance that God gave her. She remembers that in her past life, the only thing she regretted was not taking more personal belongings with her, resources to use as merchandise. She is eager to see Tully and the Aria Trading Company again. But when she arrived at the destination, they had already moved on. She took too long getting her things. Not knowing what to do, Riche opens her suitcase and finds a book of medicinal plants that her grandmother left her. Unlike her last life, this time she has money, so she just needs to decide what to do with it. So, in her second life, she sold everything she had and used the money to cross the sea and learn medicine. She studied various plants and made good use of the experience she gained in her first life. One day, she traveled to a kingdom and saved a prince with her knowledge, who was immensely grateful and impressed. Her life was fulfilling and rewarding, but again, she got involved in a war and died. So, time rewinds again to her checkpoint. In her third life, she decided to go on a journey of academic study with a person she met in her previous life, Dr. Michel Evan. She studied with the doctor for several years, after which she continued her journey alone, but again, she got involved in the war and died again. In her fourth life, she served as a maid to a rich duke. In her sixth life, she pretended to be a man and became a knight. Why didn't she mention her fifth life? Anyway, in all her lives, she felt fulfilled and happy. However, in all her lives, after 5 years, she always died. So we come to her seventh life. This time she decides to take it easy. She wants to have a long life this time. Now that she stopped to think, she always left the castle through the main entrance, but as she is now, she thinks it will be faster to jump from the balcony. But as she turns the corner, she comes face to face with none other than Arnold, the prince who took her previous life. Riche screams in shock, calling him emperor. Arnold is surprised that this stranger knows him, even though it's the first time they've seen each other. Riche then explains that his fame precedes him. But Arnold says that his father is still alive, so he couldn't be called emperor, only prince. With no alternative, Riche apologizes. She explains that her engagement has just ended, and she is in a hurry, so she goes to the balcony, takes off her shoes, and jumps. Arnold is amazed.
Oi.
This reckless act, so completely unlike women, stirs something in his heart. Riche lands and rolls on the ground, breaking the heels of her shoes, and goes on her way. This makes Arnold smile. Oliver, his most loyal servant, appears there, and Arnold asks him to prepare his horse. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is hopelessly in love. Returning to Riche, she complains that her current body is weak and needs to train all over again. On her walk, she comes across a crowd looking for her. Then her ex-fiancé, happy to find her, goes to her, spitting arrogance and ego, which doesn't surprise Riche at all. She sees that this time, she didn't arrive on time and even ran into her ex-fiancé. He is once again egocentric and says he can see that despite her indifference to his declaration, she is deeply sad that he ended the engagement with her. He mentions Riche's dirty dress and how she was sad wandering the streets. But she asks if he's an idiot. Sadness doesn't dirty dresses. She is also not at all sad that he broke off the engagement. This makes the people there whisper, seeing that the prince seems more hurt than she is. This irritates the prince, who complains. Riche feels relieved not to have spent any of her lives with him. She reminds him that his duty is to protect the kingdom and its subjects, not the other way around. And she also mentions that she feels very relieved that he broke off the engagement. This makes the guards laugh. Then comes the prince's new suitor, Donzella Marie, who tells Riche to stop mistreating her prince. The prince says he heard that Riche made her cry, and he won't forgive that. Riche says there's no problem. She will obey the engagement breakup decree. She recalls that all she sought up to that point was to be the prince heir's bride, what she thought was all she could achieve as a woman. But now she sees that she can find her own worth and has everything for it. So, she says she doesn't need the prince for anything. This makes the prince stagger. Riche also tells Marie that she doesn't know what lies she told to incriminate her, but she doesn't feel angry about it. She sees that Marie seeks her family's good with the marriage. Riche warns her that if her future is not desired by herself, it will never make sense. It is possible to find happiness for her family and for herself too. So she leaves and thinks about what to do this time. The prince orders the guards to arrest her, and they ask her to wait. Then Riche feels an overwhelming presence. She grabs the sword from the guard behind her and defends a blow from Arnold. He knew she would defend. He was fascinated by her and asks where she learned those skills. Wow, these two were made for each other, don't you think? Comment here if you agree. She answers that it's a secret. She sees that he held back with that blow. The prince heir asks who she is, but Riche tells them to step back. They cannot use violence against the heir of Gaukind. This impresses everyone. Arnold is famous for having wiped out an entire army alone. Riche then asks what he is doing there. He certainly didn't use his sword for fun. Arnold took her past life and will also cause a war that will involve the whole world. The same war that took Riche's lives. Arnold kneels, which astonishes Riche. He apologizes for his rudeness earlier and asks for her hand in marriage. Oh, my heart. Guys, I'm loving these two. He really asked her to marry him. The same man responsible for her death 6 times in a row knelt under that moonlight and asked for Riche's hand. Everyone there is impressed, including Riche herself, who immediately refuses, but Arnold finds it amusing. At that moment, the king of that empire appears, and his son goes whining to him, but he ignores him and decides to clean the floor with him. He kneels and apologizes to Riche for breaking off the engagement and asks her to consider Arnold's proposal. In response, she says that something like that wouldn't cause any enmity, but she would like to talk to Riche in his chambers. She ends up accepting. In Arnold's chambers, Riche is still confused about all of this, but Arnold just says he's fallen deeply in love with her. In her first life, she would have seized this chance without a second thought, but now she knows that life has various choices. Now, Riche wonders why Arnold caused that war and whether she could find out by staying by his side. So she decides and proposes conditions for her to stay with him. She would live idle around the castle, wandering here and there, and Arnold couldn't lay a finger on her. He laughs. Later, the two set off for Arnold's kingdom. The carriages pass through several places, and along the way, Riche takes the opportunity to cultivate some medicinal plants. At a certain point in the journey, she ends up falling asleep, leaning over a sword. She wakes up with Arnold approaching, which makes her repeat what she had said before. However, he just wanted to take back what she took from him, and we see that that sword was actually Arnold's own sword. Riche noticed Arnold's presence even while asleep, and he finds that impressive. He then mentions having called the trading company chosen by Riche, Tully's merchants. She is excited to see them in this life and ends up getting lost in the beauty of Arnold's face without realizing it. They are interrupted by an enemy attack. Arnold gets out of the carriage and tells Riche to stay there and behave. But Riche doesn't listen to him and opens the door with a hairpin. When she sees the battle had already ended, Arnold easily defeated everyone there, but didn't kill any of them. So his soldiers take care of the wounded on both sides. This intrigues Riche. One of the allied soldiers was wounded with poison. Although not fatal, he would be in pain for several days. So Riche says she can make an antidote. She uses the plants she picked along the way and makes a mixture of the juice. However, she thinks they might be suspicious of her somehow. Taking the poison knife, she cuts herself, immediately trying to stop Arnold, but she shows that it's okay and then uses the antidote on the wound, talking about the properties of the plants. They then treat the wounded. Oliver talks about Arnold's trust, that he even brought Riche into battle. Although his sword defends the nation's interests better, Riche acted on her own. In her life as a servant, she learned to unlock doors, since her mistress always locked herself in her room. Arnold thought the flowers were just decorative. He is amazed with each new discovery about his beloved. Talking about his soldiers, Arnold points out that one of the wounded used to live on the streets, earned his current position through his own effort. Another was injured trying to protect the youngest of them. He cares about his knights, and that catches Riche's attention. So, Arnold kneels before her and thanks her for saving them. Riche doesn't understand anymore. It's as if he were a different person. Is he pretending? We find out that the knights looked at her strangely, thinking that Riche was some enemy, since she is from another kingdom, and the information passed to the Emperor of Gokine was that Arnold became interested in her and kidnapped her. In other words, Riche is considered a hostage. Although she could be discriminated against in Gokine, Arnold's kingdom, she thinks it's all great. Being a hostage means she won't have to participate in official duties, so she can just idle around. Then, she mentions that Arnold almost touched her hand earlier, to which he responds that it was inevitable. Gokine influences all the other countries in the world. It was the only place that Riche couldn't visit in all her other lives. She is amazed by the beauty of the place. Arriving at the destination, Arnold says that the country house where Riche would stay couldn't be prepared in time, so he offers her a noble's room. But she says it's not necessary for so much comfort, and she'll be happy in the country house, even if it's been unused for years. After all, she's a hostage. Arnold wonders why she seems so proud of that. Arriving there, the house was indeed very dusty. The maid inside Riche shouted to leave, and she was excited to clean everything up. Then, the knights she helped before offer to help with the heavy stuff. In a few years, Arnold will kill his father, the Emperor. And so the war will begin. Riche knows this, and even though it's futile, she wants to keep him away from his father as much as possible. She is totally against the war. If not for that, she would have had a long life full of comfort. Later, Riche realizes that she finally managed to fulfill her dream of visiting all the countries and admires the beautiful view. Then she senses Arnold's presence, which he finds incredible. Even hiding his presence and staying away, she managed to feel him. Riche asks about the city spots she observes, and Arnold replies with what each of them is. She is very amazed, making Arnold wonder why she finds it so amusing. She talks about her dream and how it was the final push for her to accept coming with him. Even though Arnold says that city has nothing worthy of her attention, she disagrees, saying that just from the spots he mentioned, the city becomes incredibly beautiful. Arnold has never met anyone like Riche. All her combat skills, medicine, general knowledge. A lady doesn't need any of that. This makes Riche remember her past. Her mother always insisted that her destiny was to marry into the royal family and have an heir. She didn't need to learn anything beyond how to be a wife and keep up appearances. She greatly admires every part of the knowledge in this world and asserts that she herself decides what is unnecessary or not. This time, she can't help but touch her. That's exactly what made Arnold fall in love with her. She is free to do whatever she wants, and he will support all her decisions. All her skills enchant his heart. Riche still insists that he's lying. So, he leaves and tells her to think of something she wants, because this time he broke the arc of touching her. Yeah, he really got to Riche. She can barely keep her balance. On another day, Riche wakes up from a good night's sleep and is soon called by Oliver, Arnold's personal servant. She quickly dresses and answers the door. Oliver apologizes for appearing so early. It would be difficult to find another time due to the prince's unfinished duties. Riche learns that Oliver has been assisting Arnold for 10 years and sees that he genuinely cares for him. He even analyzes her without drawing attention, but Riche is very perceptive and says he can analyze as much as he wants, surprising Oliver, who apologizes. Arnold has never fallen in love with anyone, and the fact that he asked for Riche's hand surprises him greatly. Oliver then hands her the guest list as requested by the prince. Later, we see Diana, one of the most experienced servants. Her younger colleagues ask for her help, but Diana is arrogant and expects them to do everything perfectly without any experience. Riche visits Arnold in his office, surprising him with her attire. Riche asks him if she can personally choose her maids as a form of payment for him touching her. Arnold agrees, but says that today's party will only be to show that the crown prince is looking for someone. But Riche sees no dishonor in being a princess hostage there and asks Arnold to feel free to reveal her as his actual wife. Arnold sees that now it seems he has permission to touch her. Riche says that in that case, they are wearing gloves. Naughty. At the party, Arnold is surrounded by some guests. One of them presents his daughter in an attempt to bring them closer. But Arnold shows that he has already found his wife, impressing everyone, especially the women when they see him smiling. Jealousy, envy, and ulterior motives surround Riche, but compared to breaking off their engagement in public, this is nothing. Arnold thought it would be best to make it clear to everyone as soon as possible that Riche is under his protection. Riche is amazed. The man who ended her life in her previous existence is now protecting her. She mentions that she doesn't think there's anyone scarier than him there when it comes to swordplay, and that she certainly wouldn't defeat him. Arnold says that maybe they could train together someday, which Riche happily agrees to. All of Riche's reactions exceed Arnold's expectations, even though she's interested in the previous attack method. The music starts playing, and Arnold doesn't want to force Riche to dance, but she doesn't see why not. They are very close, just like that day. Riche tries several times to take control of the dance to see Arnold's reaction, but it's as if her steps say, no matter how hard you try, it's no use. Despite being so close to each other, Arnold never intrudes into Riche's space. This is the ultimate romantic. Everyone is amazed by their mastery. In the final step, Arnold pulls Riche with force, which destabilizes her, and she's sure she's going to fall. But Arnold holds her like a true gentleman. Despite everyone's admiration, some girls try to provoke Riche with spiced wine, but she only notices it by the aroma and drinks it, saying it's indeed an exotic beverage, and thanks for the reception. Later, she tries to finish drinking the wine outside. Arnold appears there, asking what's spicy. The wine has lost all its flavor, but Riche thinks the least she can do is drink it all. Arnold takes the glass from her hand and consumes it all. Indeed, it was spicy. Arnold asks who she was thinking about during the dance, which catches Riche by surprise. However, she can't say she was thinking about her future self. So she says she was worried about his health. She noticed that his movement on the left side is slightly slower, and there must be a wound around the neck area. And indeed, there is an old wound that slightly contracts his skin. Riche is amazed. That was the result of a blade hitting him several times with the intention to finish him off. Very few people know about this wound, and no one has ever noticed just by looking. Riche asks what caused that, but Arnold changes the subject, saying that the night is getting colder and then leaves. The next day, Riche pretends to be a servant again. Diana passes by and is arrogant again, rushing her younger colleagues and complaining about the work they did before. Riche offers to help them, and Diana wonders how she has so much time to help them. Riche notices that she carries a paper with notes, deducing that Diana knows how to read and write. The younger colleagues apologize to Riche. They can't remember everything. Riche is kind and says that at the beginning, it's always harder. Riche learns that Diana is from a wealthy family, but they got into debt and lost a lot. At the presentation of the chosen maids, everyone stands at attention in the country house that Riche herself cleaned. Diane is amazed at how clean everything is and wonders who could have cleaned it. Then, the princess finally appears, and Oliver announces her. Diane can't believe her eyes, just like everyone else. Riche wanted to learn the reality of all of them, so she pretended to be a common servant. She announces the maids of her choice, and despite having 3 professionals there, she didn't choose any of them. Diane doesn't accept this. She gave everything for this position her whole life. So Riche says that from now on, Diana will no longer be a maid. Riche asks her if she did her duties in the same way at the beginning. Diana confesses that no, she couldn't remember how to do everything, and the more experienced ones were always busy. So she watched and learned, and although she became one of the best, she had something that all the others didn't have. She already knew how to read and write. Very few families received the same education. Although she became an elite maid, Diana couldn't understand why all the others couldn't keep up, and now realizes that she never taught them properly. Riche then has an idea. She wants to turn that country house into a maid training center, with Diane as one of the instructors. Everyone would learn to read and write and have an advantage in many things. Later, Riche gets ready to establish an alliance with the merchants she met in her first life. And so, we meet Tully again. Tully introduces himself, and even though Riche already knows him, she still feels like he knows everything about her just by looking into her eyes. She tries to do business with him, but Tully says he has nothing to sell to her. He can see Riche's great determination. She's practically betting her life on this negotiation, and he has nothing that can match such determination. So, he congratulates her on the marriage and wishes her happiness as the future princess heiress, then leaves. Later, Riche thinks about Chief Tully's refusal. She knows he chooses his clients well so that the client always needs him. She remembers he mentioned enjoying the city a bit, and then she gets an idea. During the night, Tully and his companions have fun in a tavern, and there, he meets Riche again, disguised with a different hair color. She competes in drinking with all of them and comes out victorious. Tully then agrees to restart the negotiation. His intuition tells him he should have Riche as a business partner and not just a client. However, he won't accept anything without knowing the business plan she has, but Riche can't tell him. Tully finds it amusing. She says interesting things indeed, forming a contract without him knowing anything and without any certainty of profit. We know that Arnold will start a war soon, and Riche intends to prevent it with a plan, but she can't tell Tully about it. He relies heavily on his intuition, but results are more important. So, Riche quotes one of his phrases, which surprises him. She promises to find a business that will work in the capital, and in return, Tully will reconsider his decision, taking that into account. They toast, and Riche says goodbye but leaves a bag of medicine for Tully's men. Returning home, Riche comes face to face with Arnold, who is waiting for her patiently. He worries and asks if she got hurt and that next time she visits the city, he'll go with her. Riche finds it inappropriate for Arnold to indulge his whims, but he retorts, reminding her that she can do whatever she wants, but not get into danger. He knows her well, and if he forbade her from going out, she would find a way to sneak out again. So, it would be better to impose conditions. Riche is so hard to read that she surprises Arnold with every action. This is getting a little hot. Then, Riche asks if he's hungry. She makes soup for both of them, but she doesn't like the taste at all and apologizes to her prince. She didn't dedicate herself to cooking in any of her lives. Arnold tastes it and sees that it's good. Riche thinks he must not have a good palate. But he retorts immediately, asking if she's thinking something disrespectful. But she denies it and thanks him. They eat the soup while Riche explains the situation about the Aria merchants. Arnold, as always, says she can do whatever she wants, even though she didn't actually say the reason, just like she didn't tell the merchants. He leaves, warning Riche about his younger brother and that she shouldn't get involved with him. She tries to find out why, but Arnold decides she doesn't need to know. Riche decides to study about the city and its market, spending a few nights on it. Arnold talks with Oliver about Riche cooking, even though she didn't know it was good, but he finds it strange that she used medicinal herbs in the soup. The next morning, while Riche goes to her garden as usual, always accompanied by the knights she helped, they come across a homeless man sleeping on the ground. He wakes up and calls her sister-in-law. This is Arnold's younger brother, Theodore Augustine. He learns that she made that flower bed, which he refers to as a bed. He says there's something wrong in a certain place there, making Riche approach. Then, he says he came to save her. She's Arnold's hostage, not a princess. Riche says she knows all that and that Arnold has a lot of consideration for her. Theodore is pensive and then leaves. Riche sees that Theodore introduced himself emphasizing as second in the succession of the kingdom. She found it strange. Her guards know Arnold's brother and his involvement, but they can't say anything about it. Sooner or later, Riche will have to deal with this, but her priority is the deal with Tully. On the way, she sees Arnold discussing about keeping the protection of the people and not favoring the nobles, which the other man finds absurd and mentions that his father won't like it. Arnold tells him to put himself in his place. He sees Riche, who feels a bit embarrassed at this moment. She then makes a gesture of strength, and he smiles again. Then Arnold intends to send letters to each noble, explaining that the guard will remain the same for commoners and nobles, and by protecting the commoners, taxes would be paid in greater quantity, so the nobles would have more money. In her studies, Riche remembers that Arnold created several rules that prioritize the people, totally different from the impression she had of him. Returning to her room, Riche sees a letter with a meeting point, signed with Arnold's name. But when she arrives there, she already knew she would find Theodore. Theodore talks about his brother, calling him a killer and saying he finished off their own mother. And soon, he'll do the same with Riche. Despite being surprised, she doesn't fall for it. She states that she's fully aware of who Arnold is, and yet, she will still be his wife. This surprises Theodore, who asks if she heard what she just said. In response, she tells him their conversation is over, and it's better to deal with his brother. Arnold intimidates Theodore with just his presence. He reminds him that he ordered him to stay away from Riche. Theodore shrinks back, but also laughs at Riche. He apologizes and leaves. Arnold scolds Riche too, but she mentions she couldn't ignore a summons from the prince himself, and she responded to the letter in his name. That's why he came to the location. Riche doesn't understand why they find him so cruel. It's true that he finishes off enemies, but what he does for his people is very kind, and she uses herself as an example. Arnold calls her foolish and says she's only there to be used, that she's his hostage. But Riche doesn't believe a word of it. She has seen and knows very well what his true self is like. Arnold is surprised once again and asks what kind of determination she has. A determination akin to warriors on the battlefield, who are willing to give their own lives for their convictions. This awakens Arnold's admiration on so many levels that he can't even express it. Riche talks about having dreams where she constantly dies and wakes up immediately after. However, she's afraid that she may have already died, and this life of hers is a big interrupted dream. But either way, she has decided, whatever her fate is in this life. What she has is the determination to live as his wife. Arnold holds Riche's chin, gently forcing it up, and then they kiss for the first time. Riche can barely rationalize the situation. Arnold calls her foolish. She doesn't need determination to be his woman. The next day, Riche finds herself thinking about her kiss with Arnold, wondering what that was. Her closest servant, Elsie, arrives and notices that Riche has painted nails. Riche was inspired by an Eastern custom. She used plants to give color to a nail treatment, so besides strengthening them, it will also make them beautiful. This will be her merchandise to surprise Tully. Later, Riche presents her new merchandise to Tully. It's small and easy to transport, and it would work very well as a souvenir for the workers who come and go from the city. Tully likes it a lot. Certainly, the women would love it. However, Riche has a deeper plan with this. There are still many poor regions in the country. This product is easy to produce, but on a large scale, it would be quite laborious. Thus, several job opportunities could be created. She mentions one of Tully's phrases from her past life. They can choose their clients, but now with this idea, they could create their clients. This indeed surprises Tully, who laughs at this brilliant idea. The Aria merchants would sell the products to the commoners, and the commoners would make the final item, later selling them. However, Tully still sees how much Riche wants to ally with them, and he can wear her out for a while longer and point out the flaws in her plan. Riche expected this, so she prepared something. So, she shows him her letter. Tully is amazed and asks where she got it. In her first life, Riche met Aria, Tully's sister, who has a difficult-to-cure disease. With the knowledge she gained in her lives, she cultivated special herbs to serve as medicine to cure Aria with a 1-year treatment. Tully seems not to be convinced. After all, Riche is not a doctor. However, she reminds him of the bag of medicine she left for his men, and it worked and cured their hangover. She made it herself. Tully always says they must learn to choose their clients, but now, Riche has completely reversed the situation, with him needing her now. But she says she doesn't intend to use her sister as a bargaining chip, and she will leave the medicines with him anyway. All she wants is for him to help her bring the opportunity to the people who need it, because just like he has his sister who needs help, other families also have their loved ones and children who sacrifice their dreams to bring sustenance to their own families. Tully is so astonished to hear these words that he immediately kneels before her. He sees how immature he has been all this time. He didn't even consider this case regarding the poorer people and is ashamed of his arrogance. And thus, the Aria merchants form an incredible alliance with Riche and the Empire. Later, Riche feels happy to have finally succeeded, but she can't stop to celebrate. As she gets up, she feels dizzy. She lost several nights putting her plans into action. Then, the 2 knights who always accompanied Arnold appear. Riche asks Camille, the redhead, to call Elsie. Meanwhile, the blonde man went to find Oliver to check on the princess's condition. But when they get there, Riche has disappeared. And so, we find out that Elsie and Camille work for Theodore, and they took advantage of Riche's indisposition to capture her. I really wasn't expecting this twist. Later, Theodore appears to Riche, and she asks him why he did it, and Theodore responds that it was to provoke his brother, of course. When Arnold had never paid attention to him, only looked at him when he interacted with Riche. This made Theodore's heart at peace. But Riche says that he actually wants to get closer to Arnold. Theodore's expression changes, and he leaves with Camille and Elsie. So we find out that, in fact, Riche already knew that Camille and Elsie were helping Theodore. Both are from a poor region of the kingdom, a region that Theodore himself helps to improve. She suspected this and connected the dots. Even though they were ordered to arrest Riche, they genuinely care about her, and they confirmed that she won't be harmed. Riche then plans to be arrested as Theodore ordered. In another room, we see Theodore arguing with Arnold, throwing it in his face that he got Riche, and now he'll do anything Arnold tells him to. He demands to be first in the line of succession and for Arnold to renounce his right to the throne. Arnold shows no reaction, but Theodore is sure that he's worried about Riche. After all, he shows interest in her, treats her well, and wants to be by her side. Unlike him, he insists that Arnold admits defeat. At this, Arnold asks if he's left Riche in a prison. He says she's surrounded by guards on a high floor with windows, but there's no way to escape. Arnold is surprised that there are windows. Theodore retorts that there's no way to escape anyway. Maybe not for a normal person. Arnold asserts that Theodore lost the moment he captured her. Then we hear footsteps, the door opens, Riche finally appears. Arnold asks if she escaped through the window or punched a hole in the wall. But she says she left through the door like a normal person. Theodore wonders if someone betrayed him. Out of consideration, Riche decides to give him some advice on keeping a prisoner. She suggests inhumane options, like keeping the prisoner naked so they can't hide anything and breaking their arms and legs so they can't escape. This startles Theodore. Arnold asks why she's giving advice to the enemy and covers her with his coat. Theodore sees the scar on his neck, wondering what that was. In his thoughts, he admits to not being good enough, as he always suspected. Riche confronts him, asking his goal in all of this. He replies that it's for the throne, of course, but Riche deduces that he actually wants to give up his place in the line of succession, but in a more extreme way. Theodore continues to deny it over and over, but Riche uses all the arguments she collected from her observations. Theodore is indeed a good person and has been neglecting his altruistic duties so that he could be seen as a villain and elevate Arnold. He'd rather Arnold kill him than not be accepted by him. Arnold interrupts them, saying that's enough. He has no proof of any of that, so what his brother does is none of his concern. This hits Theodore like a stake, and he runs off. Riche asks why he wants to distance himself so much from his brother. He replies that what Theodore does doesn't matter to him. Riche doesn't believe that either. After all, he told her not to get involved with Theodore, which means he does care. Riche remembers when he said she didn't need determination to be his beloved. She thought about it and concluded that Arnold wants to throw away his entire future. And that's what Theodore is afraid of. Arnold starts acting strangely, saying how cute Riche is, that she can't understand his motivations, so she's confused. He then repeats, "Stay away from Theodore. He should never have gotten involved with someone like me." At this, Riche realizes that Arnold does care about Theodore, or he wouldn't have said that. She tells him to think about a future where he might lose him instead of sacrificing himself. Riche tries to go after Theodore. She's exhausted, having been without sleep for a long time. We then see an old memory of Theodore's, where he tended to the wounded during a war. When they were attacked in their tent, Theodore stood in front of the wounded soldiers, giving his life for theirs. But before that, Arnold saves him. He advises him not to put his life in danger, but this action is a source of pride, and he congratulates him. Riche appears, and Theodore finally talks as himself. He knows that Arnold never boasts about his own accomplishments, but his infamy burns like straw in other countries. Arnold himself spreads bad rumors about him, and Theodore knows why he always watches him and is afraid he'll disappear at any moment. Theodore comes to the conclusion that if Arnold wants to leave the Empire with him and disappear, then he'll just have to disappear first. Riche knows Arnold has plans against himself, but he intends to stop him using his strength and the strength of other people, including Theodore. Theodore is surprised and grateful for this, but he wants to choose how to do it himself and thinks he should have done it a long time ago. So, he throws himself off the building's edge. Riche tries to run to save him, but her exhaustion consumes her. Arnold appears like lightning and saves his brother. He asks what the hell he was thinking. Theodore says it's the only way he can be useful to him. Arnold admits he never acted like an older brother. What idiot would risk their life for a brother like that? Riche says that despite everything, Theodore's willingness to help his brother is undeniable. Arnold returns to his usual self, telling him not to risk his life like that. His brother sees that he remembers and tears up. Riche is happy to see the brothers have made up and falls asleep. The next day, Riche finally wakes up and sees Arnold waiting for her. He hands her a letter from Theodore, apologizing. He has returned to helping the poor locals of the kingdom and says his allies are at her disposal. After that, Arnold tells her to think of something she wants. He's broken the rule of touching her again. Riche remembers the kiss and blushes, but says she doesn't want anything. Arnold thanks her for taking care of his brother. Later, Riche visits Theodore and thanks him for not punishing Camille and Elsie. He and his brother Arnold now handle official matters together. During this, Riche makes a request to Arnold, but it remains hidden to us at this moment. Later, Riche makes some preparations, gathers courage, and finally invites Arnold to move to the countryside with her. He thought she wanted to live alone there, but Riche denies it, saying exactly the opposite. Thanks to her, his mood has improved, and he happily accepts. Oliver thanks her for this. Later, Arnold finds his room prepared and is amazed by the great change in the house. It had been abandoned for years, and Riche managed to fix everything perfectly in just a few weeks with the help of her personally trained maids. Arnold mentions that besides learning very well, they will be proud of a job well done, which will motivate them even more. Riche is speechless, and Arnold asks if that's the face she makes when he compliments her. It may not seem like it, but they're sincere. Riche says that even if it were a lie, his compliments make her very happy. She mentions that the room is well lit and fresh. Her room is right next door, making it easy for Arnold to know about her recklessness, but Riche says she intends to just laze around, so she won't do anything reckless, maybe just a few things. Arnold says she can do whatever she wants, as long as it's not as reckless as the other day. Riche reminds him that they agreed to train, and she's looking forward to it. She's sure that his beloved skill is the most beautiful and strong in the world, but Arnold says there can't be beauty in something used to take lives. After a while, they go to the training ground, each with one arm tied behind their backs. Arnold is more limited, using an eye patch and something that restricts the movement of his left leg. Riche analyzes the situation and deduces that this is meant to simulate battlefield accidents, like losing a limb. She proposes a bet for the fight. If she wins, he has to answer one of her questions. If she loses, she'll grant any wish of his. Riche prepares herself and makes a frontal attack. Her balance is off because of her tied arm, so she sees she needs to compensate for it. Arnold is amazing and manages to give her tips on how to behave in the fight, even in the midst of combat. Riche's analysis is very good, and she quickly improves. She predicts that Arnold will make the same attack that killed her in another timeline, and this time, she manages to prevent it. Still, even knowing what would happen, her body can barely keep up. Arnold realizes that despite Riche saying his technique is the best, she knows someone stronger than him. Indeed, her future version is much stronger, crueler, and immensely formidable. Predicting Arnold's movements, Riche advances and narrowly misses hitting him. However, he hadn't intended to stay still but was forced to. As his prize, Arnold asks Riche to be free after the following day. They will visit the city. He tries to help her up, but her limbs are shaking so much from training that she can't stand. Arnold realizes that if he touches her with gloves, he won't have a problem with that rule. He picks her up and Riche is so embarrassed that she lets out a scream. Oh my god, how cute! Curious about the questions Riche would have asked if she had one, he encourages her to ask even though she lost. He sees that she enjoys his reactions. She asks only about his birthday and things he likes. Later, Oliver prepares Arnold's new room. Riche discovers that her beloved couldn't sleep that night because of his duties and is still working. She goes to him, asking him to rest, and Arnold soon notices that Oliver is eavesdropping. Even though he wants to rest, Arnold can't, as during the day, many people circulate through the palace, disturbing his sleep. Riche promises to take care of his rest. They go to the new room, and Riche insists on staying by his side so he won't be distracted by other presences. But it seems not to be working, so she decides to lie down next to him. Riche begins to lightly touch Arnold, mimicking heartbeats, a technique to calm the mind. She mentions that if done with a child, they'd fall asleep quickly. Arnold says she must be the only one who would treat him like a child. Time passes and Riche gets distracted by Arnold's scar. He allows her to touch it, joking that if he had known they would do that, he would have brought gloves so he could return the favor. She blushes and says that even with gloves, it wouldn't be okay, but he reassures her that it was just a joke. Riche realizes she's not being fair, so she loosens her clothes and exposes her neck, allowing Arnold to touch her as revenge. "Riche, you naughty girl." He throws a pillow at her face, saying that, as revenge, he'll settle for her expression. He finds her strange, as he didn't hesitate to lie down with her, but she's all embarrassed as they look at each other closely. She had hoped to cast a spell on him with her presence, calming him down. Arnold agrees and tells her to stay until he falls asleep, as her presence is much better than an empty room. She ends up falling asleep too, and when she wakes up, she thinks she's in her own room, asking what Arnold is doing there. "Oh my god, you were so relaxed that you forgot you were in your favorite villain's room, huh?" But then she remembers what happened. Oliver knocks on the door looking for the prince. Arnold covers Riche with the sheet and tells her to be quiet. After Oliver leaves, Arnold brings reports and is happy to see that Riche managed to convince him. Later, Riche finally returns to her quarters. There, something she ordered from the merchants of Aria has arrived. She resumes pretending to be a man and starts training as a knight. During her first training session, Riche, now going by the name Lucius to blend in among the men, catches the attention of her superior for lagging behind the others. Later, we see that the princess's request to Theodore was to be included in the training of knight candidates as a man. The young woman finds it strange and questions why her sister-in-law doesn't hire a private tutor instead of orchestrating this whole arrangement. Riche believes that a private tutor would probably be more gentle with her as a maiden, and she doesn't want them to go easy on her or show favoritism. She prefers to blend in with the men for truly rigorous training. Initially, the prince rejects getting involved in this confusion, but soon he remembers it would be a great opportunity to shock his brother, including his wife in the selection of knights by pretending to be a man. Riche doesn't wish to shock the prince, but Theodore insists. He's eager to see the surprised look on his brother's face. And indeed, this would be yet another thing that Arnold would be surprised about, although he should expect surprises from Riche by now. Back to the present moment, Riche is resting, panting, surprised that this is only basic training in Gakhain. One of her fellow trainees emerges. His name is Fritz, and he keeps Riche company. Starting a conversation, he mentions he comes from a city called Sutina, a northern port region where Koyal's ship docked. Fritz would have spent the rest of his life there if not for his admiration for Prince Arnold Hyen, a war hero who inspired him to become a knight and move to this kingdom. At that moment, a count from Gakhain named Laavine catches the young man's attention for not addressing the prince as Your Highness, and immediately Fritz apologizes for the informal treatment. This nobleman is known to be the guardian of the North and very loyal to the imperial family. Despite Laavine's good reputation, Riche recalls that in 3 years, the future Emperor Arnold will execute the Count for a heinous crime. While having this recollection, she realizes the Count is staring at her and may have noticed that Riche is disguised as a man. Laavine then asks if Riche likes chicken and, with a deeper voice, the princess answers affirmatively. Therefore, the Count instructs the supposed Lucius to eat more meat from now on, as he has less muscle than the average trained men. Furthermore, he informs that he will join the training instructors from tomorrow. At that moment, a subordinate announces that the meeting with the Emperor is about to start. After that, we see Riche going to a hut, removing her disguise, and returning to the imperial mansion, entering through the window by a rope. Descending the stairs, she meets her fiancé Arnold, who whispers to the princess that she should go to the back gate on the west side tomorrow at 2 p.m., ensuring no one sees her. Riche asks if she needs to dye her hair for the disguise, but Arnold refuses, so she decides to wear typical city clothes to go unnoticed. Later, Elsie asks about what the two of them are talking about, and Riche explains that she will meet the prince in the western part of the city, probably to discuss some official matters, but she's not sure. However, for this, she needs to be dressed as discreetly as possible, so Elsie takes responsibility for making Riche impeccable for this meeting. Finally, the moment arrives, and at the agreed-upon place, Arnold asks her to remove the hood because no one in the area knows her face, revealing her attire. She argues that perhaps dressing too simply would attract even more attention than a linen dress, but Arnold sees no problem with the clothes and even anticipated this. He states that he intends to praise the work of the princess's maid. They then arrive at the famous Gakhain fair, and Riche is enchanted by the coquito grapes and the rare salaf eggs. Observing her fiancé, she notices he doesn't seem very pleased with her relaxed posture, so she changes her speech to show seriousness. She analyzes that fairs are an excellent market gauge, reflecting the public order of the region. The princess was trying to be more diplomatic in this meeting with the future emperor, imagining that he was evaluating her analytical ability, but he simply takes out a pocket watch and asks if she would like to explore the fair. Riche is very happy about it and follows along exploring. She buys a typical fruit for her and Arnold, who finds the object disturbing, but Riche argues that it's a very nutritious food. Despite hesitating to put this strange thing in his mouth, Arnold takes a bite of the fruit and says it tastes healthy, and Riche finds this a typical response from someone who didn't like it and doesn't want to admit it. Shortly after, Arnold says not to stay in one place for too long, so Oliver's subordinates don't find them. Speaking of him, the employee just found out that the prince is missing. Riche asks if Arnold has any official commitments today, and he replies that the owner of the place they are going to doesn't go to the palace, so he needs to go there. Inside, an elderly couple bows and thanks for being hired by the prince, but Arnold asks them to raise their heads, without ceremony. Soon, the woman introduces herself as Mihaela, owner of this humble jewelry store. Playfully, Mihaela shows 3 stones to Riche and asks which one is fake. The princess deeply examines the stones, but admits she has no idea, finding the maiden's honest and straightforward response interesting. But instead of giving up, Riche asks for evaluation tools to accurately assess the objects. Analyzing with the appropriate tools, Riche observes that all the stones had a high degree of transparency and very well-cut facets. However, she returns the jewels to the woman, stating that all are imitations. With that, Mihaela admits to underestimating the lady and emphasizes that no one had ever asked for the tools before. Despite this, Riche states that the stones are very beautiful and surely anyone who bought them would cherish them. Faced with the princess's humility, Mihaela admires the young woman even more, saying that she sells her products carefully to selected customers and would like to show her exclusive products to Riche. Arnold asks the jewelry store owner to give his fiancée whatever she wants, and Riche is confused, thinking she was there to fulfill a wish from Arnold. In fact, she was, but the prince's wish is to give a ring to his beloved, which will be delivered during the wedding ceremony. Thus, Mihaela will make the preparations while Riche questions the reason behind all this, saying that rings are not necessary in Gakuen. So, she asks Arnold how the training between them led to this, and he replies that he decided not to mention the ring because if he did, Riche probably wouldn't accept the gift due to its price. However, he asked her not to worry about it because, in this way, the prince's fortune, which is more than he could spend, would return to the city's businesses and, consequently, to its people, making the economy circular. And as it involves an important matter to the princess, she promises to make her choice wisely and sincerely. Faced with many first-class options, Riche wonders if a diamond would be better considering the occasion like a wedding, or if an emerald would enhance her eyes. Seeing the maiden's hesitation, Mihaela comments that wearing her favorite jewelry with pride fills women with courage, as if it were a lucky charm, so it's important to be chosen carefully. The lady then asks Riche's favorite color, and the maiden looks into the prince's eyes, seeing them as crystalline ice formed in the sea of the coldest country. She even gets lost in his gaze for a while and asks if there wouldn't be a jewel in the color of Arnold's eyes. Realizing that this observation might have sounded strange, the noblewoman quickly tries to justify herself, saying that she simply finds his eye color beautiful. Mihaela enjoys the lady's behavior, finding it very romantic, and promises to find a jewel in the desired color. Riche tries to explain again to the owner, but as it doesn't work, she asks Arnold to forget what she said.
Oh my god! Wow!
Riche returns to the castle and watches the beautiful Gakuen sunset while Arnold asks why she chose the left ring finger to measure the ring. The princess replies that it's a tradition from where she comes from, and when she asks the fiancé why he decided to give her this ring, he says there's no specific reason behind it. However, as the princess does a lot of manual work, it might be rewarding to look at her hand and see a beautiful gift from the prince on one of her fingers. So, the girl promises that Arnold will be the first to see her hand with the ring. Changing the subject, Riche mentions the arrival of Count Lawvine, and Arnold explains that he is the most well-prepared person to instruct the knight candidates. On the other hand, the princess believes that Arnold wouldn't bring such an important nobleman just to teach some novices how to wield a sword. So she presumes that the prince is waiting for someone since he kept checking the time on his pocket watch all the time before arriving at the castle. Thus, the prince confesses that he received a message from another country where the sender said he couldn't attend the wedding, so he decided to anticipate the celebration on his own. Arnold tried to warn that this wasn't necessary, but another letter from the same sender warned that he wanted to advance this meeting as much as possible, so he would go to Gokine without waiting for the prince's reply. While eating fruits freshly arrived from Koyals at the fair, Riche presumes that the owner of the letter was on the same export ship. In turn, Arnold confirms the suspicion based on what he heard from his patrol. Riche recalls a memory from one of her past lives where she met Prince Kyle, and she's sure it's him who is about to arrive. Later, Arnold receives Prince Kyle Morgan Cleverly, the Prince of Koyals, at his palace, who on behalf of his father, the king, congratulates Arnold on his wedding, while Arnold thanks for the presents. Riche analyzes that these two kingdoms have a big difference. Koyals produces gems, gold, and silver, making it a rich nation. However, for much of the year, they are isolated by snow and, to get food and basic goods, they depend on trade with neighboring countries. Also, in 5 years, they would be destroyed by the war caused by the future Emperor of Gokine, Arnold. Meanwhile, the prince presents his wife, Riche, to Kyle. He already expected the bride of the Prince of Gokine to be beautiful, but he didn't imagine she could be so incredibly magnificent. Throughout all the compliments Kyle was making, Riche is impressed by the paleness of his skin. Kyle was almost blue. When she looks at her future husband's face, she notices the expression of anger he was showing at that moment. Arnold feels jealous. After the meeting, Arnold talks about how Prince Kyle didn't reveal his true intentions upon arriving in this kingdom, and Riche asks what he thinks it is, since he practically killed Kyle with his gaze. Then Arnold reveals that he learned that Kyle brought several scholars from Koyals, and this information triggers a memory in Riche of when she treated the prince in the freezing cold of the far north in her past life as a doctor. Meanwhile, Arnold asks if Riche wants to be present at the next meetings with a nobleman from the neighboring country, and she reveals that she has a medicine that could help the frail health of the Prince of Koyals if the scholars accept the suggestion. It won't be necessary to drug Kyle's food. So the princess says it's just a joke, but Arnold isn't so sure coming from her. He tells her that tomorrow there will be a welcome banquet for Kyle, and Arnold wishes to leave the prince face to face with Count Lawvine to try to keep Kyle under control in case he's plotting something. Riche is surprised and afraid of this. Arnold asks what's wrong, but she disguises it by saying it's nothing. If Count Lawvine appears at the banquet, he will find out that Lucius is actually Arnold's bride, Riche. As evening fell, Riche tended to her garden, unable to stop thinking about ways to maintain her disguise in front of Count Lawvine. She was also concerned about ensuring that Prince Kyle took his medicine, as without proper treatment, his illness would soon confine him to bed. Lost in her thoughts, Riche noticed a man approaching, complimenting the maiden's garden. Assuming that only someone of her profession could maintain such a high-quality herb garden, Riche then looked at the man's face and recognized him as Professor Michael, her former mentor in a past life. Remembering the moments they explored the world together, discovering all the substances existing on the planet, the two watched the sunrise and Michael asked if it illuminated her research. Riche confirmed that it helped a lot, so she quickly apologized for asking the professor to come from so far away. In response, Michael said it was nothing. After all, Riche was his disciple, and he was eager to share everything he could with her. He assured her that he would always be willing to help with whatever she needed, and that if she wanted to learn on her own, he wouldn't stand in her way. During this conversation, Riche recalled the wonderful time when she was Michael's student in her third life. Returning to the moment of the tutor's arrival, the princess's guards asked him to identify himself. He introduced himself as Michael Haven, who had come with a delegation from Koyals. The guards offered to accompany him if he was lost, but Michael thanked them, saying he was only interested in the woman behind them. The guards were offended by his way of addressing the future Empress of Gokine, but Riche approached to calm them down, taking charge of the situation. She introduced herself again to the man in her new life, asking if he was an academic. In response, Michael thought it was an appropriate way to define his occupation. Observing her nails, he supposed that the princess used some kind of sap and dyes to produce them, but he was curious about the hardening method. Riche explained that she used leash grass and gibii nectar, adding lapido leaves. Michael asked why she didn't use Kiri's leaves to avoid air bubbles, and Riche noticed that the man had thought of everything. He advised her to use stoma sap to further harden the enamel. He expressed surprise at the maiden's knowledge, asking if she would like to become his student instantly. The princess accepted, and so, while in Gokine, he would offer his knowledge to the young lady, who was happy to become his disciple again. By the way, Michael wasn't sure what plants Riche was producing in her garden, but he wanted to know if she had any interest in providing some kind of medicine for Prince Kyle, leaving everyone present surprised. Shortly after, Michael took the incredible woman he had discovered to get to know Prince Kyle better. Kyle felt honored to see the princess twice in the same day and explained that she was the wife of His Highness, the heir to Gokine. Michael was surprised by this and added that she became his student by chance. Kyle was stunned by the situation, so Michael mentioned that the herbal medicine she was producing could help a lot with the disease he had been suffering from. However, he confessed that the composition of the medicine was a bit beyond him, so Kyle needed to be aware that he would have to be part of an experiment. Riche was concerned about Kyle's reaction to the way the professor communicated this, but the prince didn't hesitate to accept the condition, as his greatest wish was to get rid of this illness that had been tormenting him for so long, and he would do anything to achieve it. Therefore, Riche proposed to finalize the medication. She showed the medicine to the prince, but warned him that the taste was extremely repulsive. Michael assured the young man that he wouldn't have any trouble facing it, and Kyle himself reaffirmed this position. Then, the professor quickly opened the lid and poured the formula into his mouth without mixing it with water beforehand, leaving Riche desperate to see the young nobleman struggling to swallow the substance. Michael was curious and asked what it tasted like, and Kyle explained that it was bitter and sour, mixed with the smell of stable horses, but that when swallowed it became sweeter, like a type of mucus. Having to hear that, Riche said that the young man didn't need to go into so much detail, then asked the soldier for water. After that, Michael showed his research records, and Riche was very excited about it, since he had shown them to Prince Kyle, but the sovereign didn't understand anything written in the records, as if it were another language. Thus, Michael was happy to meet someone who understood the knowledge he wanted to convey. This reaction from the girl made the tutor realize how special she was, so he asked if she really didn't like the medicine she gave to Kyle. At that moment, Riche remembered her past life when Michael praised her talent, but pointed out that her great flaw was using her skills only to make others happy, because no one should be able to determine another's happiness, since even suffering has its reason. For example, poison has the duty to fulfill this role. On the other hand, Riche questioned whether poison really can only bring suffering and commented that thinking someone is born only to bring misfortune doesn't really match her teacher. Anyway, Michael didn't find anyone to test the medicine they prepared, so until now no one has tested this formula to see if it works. Then Arnold entered the room calling Riche to leave, and the princess explained that the man with her was Michael Haven, an academic from Coyles who ended up becoming her teacher and from whom she learned many things while he was there. Hearing this, Michael got up and introduced himself, and Arnold said that if he needed anything during this exchange of knowledge with the princess, he just had to ask. As she left with the prince, he asked his future wife if she always had the habit of staying up late at night, and she explained that she didn't notice the hours when she was very focused on work, but anyway, she had slept in the afternoon. So she was quite relaxed. Then the prince gave his future wife a valuable pocket watch. Some people didn't believe in watches, as they were a novelty. Happy with the gift, Riche realized that the crown prince was quite open to new technologies, contrary to what she thought. And at that moment she remembers once again a moment with Michael where he lamented believing that no one would test this medicine the way he wanted. As she returned to reality, Arnold asked why she had that silly expression, but Riche dodged and commented that, coincidentally, her old herb mentor in Renwoa also found this item useful. Arnold asked how this old mentor compared to his current teacher, and Riche observed that Michael is not an herbalist, although he knows some medicinal herbs that he uses in research. Ultimately, his job is to study all substances to create new ones, like an alchemist. On the day of the party, Riche prepares to act as naturally as possible so that Lawvine doesn't discover her disguise. As she dressed, she received a letter from Madame Mihaela, the owner of the store where her fiancé bought a ring for Riche. In the letter, Mihaela informed that she managed to hire an artisan from Coyles who significantly accelerated the production of the ring, and upon seeing the design of the project, the princess was enchanted. During the party, Riche noticed the boredom on her fiancé's face, and at that moment Kyle arrived at the event, feeling unworthy of such a ceremony. Once again, he praised the indescribable beauty of the Gokine princess, who asked how he was feeling today after taking the medicine. Kyle feels much better after medicating himself and is grateful to the princess, who soon leaves to chat with the other maidens. After a while, Riche fulfilled her basic duty of greeting everyone at the party, so she could focus on something she hadn't experienced in a long time. She focused as in meditation and turned the entire room black and white, with only Cone Lawvine keeping his colors in a corner of the party. With the success of her attempt, she was surprised that her experience in the fifth life was useful at this moment. From then on, all she needs to do is stay focused and not let anyone realize that she is avoiding Lawvine. At some point during the party, she meets Lord Wildman, Mihaela's son, and he comments that Riche visited his mother's store. People around, hearing the conversation, were impressed, as Mihaela had even refused the Empress as a customer. Later, Riche reveals that the delivery will be well before the deadline because of an artisan, and she wants to know to what extent this professional makes a difference in making a ring. Wildman explains that the artisans of Koyals are exceptional, capable of working on detailed objects of various types, and that is why Riche understands why they are known for jewelry and precious stones. As Riche tries to get away from the Count, Kal takes action and asks for military support from the future Emperor of Gokine because, as he well knows, Koyal's military power is almost non-existent, as it is a kingdom that depends on the supply of precious stones and metals. Kal fears that enemies will destroy Koyals and then take Gokine, as they have threatened to do before, and that is why he desires an alliance between the two peoples to protect themselves from a potential attack. Arnold wonders when Prince Kyle will reveal his plans and finally discover what he came to do so far, even being sick. He says that the value of a royal family is questionable when it does not recognize the importance of peace and wants to know what his kingdom gains in return for the alliance. Koyals is willing to prioritize Gokine in the trade of precious stones, even if its kingdom does not profit from it. Watching the conversation, Riche regrets that Kyle is so direct to this point and does not know how to negotiate without revealing all the points. Arnold doesn't understand the reason for this condition because, in Kyle's place, he would clearly put a validity clause in this contract to avoid being stuck in unprofitable business forever and compromising the financial health of an entire kingdom. Therefore, Arnold believes that Koyal's mineral resources are almost depleted for the prince to make such a proposal. Finally, Kyle admits that his life will not last much longer and a new heir is about to be born, so he wants to do everything he can to ensure the future of Koyals. Thus, he appeals to Kyle's reputation for getting close to his people and tries to convince him to do the same with the population of his country. However, Arnold turns his back and walks away. Kyle begs for the host's help, so Arnold stops and mentions that Kyle has a misconception. After all, instead of allying with a vulnerable country, it would be much more convenient to invade it and take possession of it. Faced with the coldness of the statement, Kyle seems to lose all hope and cannot react, while Riche relates her fiancé's words to the future that the world expects, when in 5 years Arnold will wage a bloody war against everything and everyone, and Koyals will also be a kingdom on the other side of the trench. However, she did not imagine that Kyle would ask for an alliance with Gokine, so she realizes that this fact is an unexpected twist that can change the fate of the peoples who inhabit this world. Remembering her journey to the extreme north, she recalls the Prince of Koyals promising to protect his people, as it is his life's duty, even if they fight daily to not lose it. Considering the reality of the situation, it is very likely that Koyals will become a vassal of Gokine in the hope of obtaining military protection, thus avoiding complete destruction. However, such an agreement would make Arnold Hine the true owner of these lands, and Riche wishes this does not happen because Gokine's accumulation of power could become the greatest incentive for total war in the future. Therefore, Riche needs to find a way to make this alliance less unequal. After Kyle's appeal is rejected by Arnold, he returns to his quarters in the palace, feeling depressed and hopeless. Michael asks if everything is okay, and Kyle responds that Arnold is more inclined to take his kingdom than to join forces with them. Michael smiles at the situation. Outside, he lights a cigarette while thinking about Arnold and finally admits to having found someone who knows what poison is and can test it. Later, Riche, disguised as Lucius, practices her fencing while pondering Arnold and the kingdom. If negotiations with the Prince of Gokine fail, Koyals may be invaded. At that moment, Count Lawvine appears, praising Riche's effort but noting hesitation in her strikes. The princess shares her negative thoughts and asks the Count if everyone there would go to battle in case of war. He confirms. Riche fears such a future, and Lawvine reassures her that it's normal. His own son lost his life in the last war, and despite pride in his bravery, Lawvine wishes he were still alive. To overcome this fear, They must not deny their desires and feelings, but use them to move forward. Riche thanks him for the advice and reflects that she doesn't want to die in a war or see Coyol's fall. Her greatest wish, however, is for Arnold to be true to himself and stop acting falsely as a villain. Later, a special guest will observe the recruits, and to Riche's surprise, it's Arnold himself. He doesn't know about Riche's disguise, but he recognizes her on sight. He decides to let his beloved continue with the act and remain silent. Arnold expresses his desire to see the recruits in action. Riche is pleased that he'll allow it, but after the training, Arnold confronts her in a secluded alley. He asks what she truly wants with this charade. Riche maintains her act, claiming it's an honor for the Highness to speak to a mere knight candidate. Arnold plays along, pretending she's a recruit, and even cheekily squeezes her cheeks. As Riche blushes, memories of their kiss flood her mind. Arnold instructs her to retaliate. Still in character, Riche warns that their situation could cause problems if anyone sees them. After all, the prince has a fiancée. Arnold acknowledges this, but finds her behavior disrespectful for a mere recruit. Riche continues her act, apologizing, and Arnold insists she explain in her own words. Finally, she drops the act and apologizes for not informing him about participating in the knight candidate training. Arnold relents, allowing his betrothed to continue, but with conditions. She must rest well and keep her gender concealed. The princess is grateful and thanks her beloved. Arnold asks if she truly enjoys the training, and Riche praises her prince's magnificent program. He believes capable people are the Empire's treasure. Riche thinks these capable individuals may become soldiers in the future war. She admits overhearing Arnold's conversation with Kyle, and he isn't surprised. She'll likely try to convince him to ally with Coyol's, but he asserts that a kingdom devoid of power holds no value. The true question now is how to deliver the final blow to that nation. Riche playfully accuses Arnold of occasional deception. He reminds her that war for the Coyol's empire isn't cruelty, it's merely a political instrument. Later, Riche reflects in her room on her past lives. She first met Prince Kyle in her first life as a merchant. Even though Kyle was of nobility, he treated everyone with great respect. And it continued like that every other time Riche met him. That's just how Kyle is, and she very much wants to save him from his fate. Sometime later, Riche presents the new pill-based medicine to Kyle and talks about his conversation with Arnold. This is embarrassing for Kyle. The right thing would be to leave the city after that, but he cannot give up. Riche talks about Arnold's cruelty in battles. He even beheaded monarchs from enemy nations. Kyle has thoroughly investigated the Prince of Gokine, and despite all this, it is evident that his internal policies greatly consider his people. He believes that his cruel actions were to prevent future problems, a form of compassion. Still, even if Arnold is a complete barbarian, Kyle must fulfill his duty. Riche expresses hope and invites Kyle to form an alliance with her. Together, they must convince Arnold. Later, Riche returns Michael's book, thanking him and saying how wonderful it was to read it. She is very excited to learn new things, whatever they may be. Michael admires this and says she is not fit to be an empress, inviting her to join him. He can teach her everything he knows. Riche is grateful but refuses. Her duty is to stay there and marry Arnold. Michael also says he is interested in him. His Highness refused Kyle's request, and the reason for this was exactly the kind of thing Michael loves. He feels that Arnold would use the new compound he created very effectively, black powder. Riche speaks of how Arnold is also kind, but Michael doesn't care and interrupts her, asking if she can arrange a meeting with the prince right now. Even if he is busy, he would understand because of his kindness. Riche, embarrassed, certainly does not want this meeting to happen, and Michael knows this. He realizes it and says she didn't ask what black powder was. In her third life, Michael explained everything about this new compound to her. Going back in one of her memories, Michael states he wants to test his compound even if lives are lost in the process. Philosophizing about what is right and wrong, he asks Riche if the destruction of the world would really be a mistake. Is it so wrong to want to see how his creations will change the world? Riche can't say anything. Michael says goodbye and hopes that Riche will follow a path she thinks is right. On her way to her quarters, Riche reflects on wanting the alliance between Gokine and Coyol's, but Michael will do everything to find Arnold and present his compound, which further provokes the start of a war. Then, Theodore appears there, grabbing Riche's arm and whispering near her, "I heard that Arnold saw you dressed as a man." She apologizes, but the fact that she was deceiving Arnold bothered her, so she is better now. After all, he found out about it quickly. His servants are exceptional. No matter what Arnold does or where he is, Theodore soon finds out, and this also applies to Riche. Then, Riche has an idea and asks her brother-in-law for help using his exceptional servants for a while. Theodore asks if it's to help Arnold. Riche denies it and says that it is actually an act of rebellion against him. Theodore is surprised and likes the idea. Meanwhile, Michael grapples with an ancient and painful memory. At his mother's funeral, his father relentlessly blamed him, asserting that Michael was the cause of her death, a harbinger of misfortune. Throughout his life, Michael immersed himself in knowledge. Learning came as naturally as breathing or sipping water. His experiments yielded remarkable results. When he gained access to a laboratory, his world expanded, and his efforts were consistently rewarded. A prodigious genius, he pushed boundaries. Yet, his creations harbored dread. His professors wondered how someone so young could conceive such lethal concepts. Then came war, engulfing everything. His professors, even his father, perished. By chance, he had created a compound capable of annihilating all, black powder. Perhaps his father's words held truth. Perhaps Michael was destined to bring calamity upon others. On the other side, Riche descended a staircase, pondering her failure to sway Michael's convictions in their previous life. Their paths converged, and Michael inquired about his audience with the prince. Riche asked if he truly intended to present black powder to Arnold. Michael asserted that all beings must fulfill their purpose, much like poison. If someone is born to disrupt the world's order, so be it. He had spoken the same words in Riche's past life. Apologizing for appearing villainous, Michael acknowledged the grim reality, even if lives were lost. He remained convinced that this was his life's purpose. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he bid his pupil goodnight and departed. Reflecting on Michael and his twisted ambition before sleep, Riche notices something strange outside. There are several fireflies beautifully illuminating her balcony and the palace garden. She admires the small creatures, and from the other side, Arnold emerges from his room. They greet each other, and Arnold, intrigued by the sheer number of insects, suggests exterminating them if Riche wishes. She immediately declines, stating that all animals, including humans, are part of a larger cycle. Besides, they are beautiful. Arnold watches her with curiosity and agrees. Riche feels strange. Arnold is the source of all her worries, yet he makes her happy in so many ways. Riche sees the fireflies gather near the prince. He thinks it's the perfect excuse to bring her closer and calls her to his side. Riche agrees, saying it doesn't seem far, and to everyone's surprise, including Arnold's, Riche simply jumps from one side to the other. The prince immediately drops the sword he was holding and rushes to catch his princess. Riche is crazy. Arnold catches his beloved, and they embrace the moment she arrives. Riche instantly turns red, apologizing if she startled the prince, but he knows she can jump great distances without any problem. Indeed, he knows. He has seen her jump from a palace balcony with no issue at all, yet he moved reflexively. Riche turns even redder. She sees her beloved sword and decides to pick it up to return it, thanking him. Arnold mentions that she could simply go around the corridor and enter through the door. She is genuinely surprised to see that this is true. She took the shortest path, just like that time at the palace. Changing the subject, Riche asks why he has his sword. Arnold thought the fireflies' lights were torches. Looking closer, Riche sees that they indeed resemble torches on a battlefield, the memories of war vivid in Arnold. They admire the view for a while. The princess gets lost for a moment among the wandering lights and meets Arnold's blue eyes, saying they are truly beautiful. The prince says he has the same eyes as his father, the emperor, proving he has his blood. When he was younger, he wanted to tear out his eyes. Such eyes should not be looked upon in that way. There is a deep and profound hostility between Prince Arnold and his father, the emperor. He speaks of how Riche admired the view of Gokheim when she saw it for the first time. He does not feel the same. The fireflies seem like torches of war to him, and the sight of the city fills him with bitterness and fury. Perhaps it's because of the eyes he inherited from his father, or maybe it's his own essence. In the end, it doesn't matter. The truth is that he only feels revulsion. Riche says that from a distance, these lights might look like the fires of war or simply fireflies. What one sees does not depend on inherited blood, but on the experiences of the individual. In his case, he just needs to learn about the beauty of that nation and the wonders of those who inhabit it. Arnold sighs, saying he doesn't need such things. All that matters is that he can achieve his goals. Arnold has even taken the lives of loved ones with his own hands, and if Riche becomes an obstacle, he will discard her. Regarding Koyal's, Kyle's kingdom, Arnold doesn't know what Riche might be thinking, but he asks her not to force him to get rid of her as well. Riche shows no fear. On the contrary, she stands firm like a warrior and says she cannot do that. Even as his wife, she will continue to act according to her goals, even if it means being discarded by him. But even if that happens, she will just return there. Even if Arnold sets her aside and breaks off the marriage, she will come back and ask to be hired as a maid and return. How cute they are, oh my god! If that doesn't work, she will disguise herself as a man and become a knight. If that doesn't work, she will come as a herbalist. In any case, she will acquire any skill that can bring her back to the palace just to be able to see him over and over again. Therefore, she asks the prince not to worry. She will not sit idly by and let him get rid of her. Arnold is left open-mouthed in astonishment. With that said, Riche brings her hands to her beloved's face, saying that those eyes are the eyes of Prince Arnold, and even if he hates them, she will continue to remind him that they are the most beautiful eyes in the world. Arnold is speechless. Not knowing what to say, he just says that it's late, so she better go to bed. Riche returns to her room, thoughtful about Arnold's words regarding his own eyes. The next day, Michael wanders through the city of Gokine while being followed by someone mysterious. In the palace, Riche joins Theodore, and they discuss some things about their secret plans. Later, she meets with Kyle, and the Prince of Koyal shows her the materials she requested. Riche is impressed with the craftsmanship. Even the trade sponsored by her has difficulty obtaining such materials. The two have an alliance, and Kyle will do everything in his power to help her. He also says that he has secured a new audience with Prince Arnold, but wonders if it will be enough to convince him. Riche isn't sure, but she is certain he will listen to the proposal. She knows him well. At dusk, Riche works on something mysterious with the materials Kyle gave her. The next day, Michael wanders the city again while being followed, but this time he notices and takes action, knocking out the spy with the gaseous fluid. Some time later, Kyle meets with Arnold for the audience. The Prince of Gokine makes it clear that he does not intend to have the same conversation again. Arnold imagines that Kyle has brought something of value. Riche confirms and thinks that this is both a negotiation and a battle at the same time. She cannot be intimidated. Arnold asks her to sit down so they can begin the audience. But before that, Riche asks if he notices anything different about her. Earrings, bracelets, and a necklace. He has never seen any of them. They are all jewels from Koyals, a kingdom isolated by snow for half the year, which has allowed them to refine their craftsmanship, achieving superior results compared to other realms. Riche shows the watch that Arnold gave her, asking if he recognizes it. He affirms that he does, but a few seconds later, he notices something strange. In fact, it wasn't his watch, but a perfect replica made by a craftsman from Koyals. Now that it has been replicated, they know exactly how the science of the watch works and can mass-produce it. This manufacturing technique could expand to various other areas and purposes. Carriages that move without horses, ships that can sail without wind, a not-so-distant future. Only Koyals knows the techniques that can make this a reality. Riche has no doubt about Arnold's interest in these technologies, but Arnold asks if that was all. Arnold acknowledges that Koyal's skills are exceptional and something that the realm of Gokyide does not possess. And it is precisely for this reason that Kyle's naivety is even more repulsive to Arnold. He says it is not necessary to form an alliance to obtain technology from another country. Everything could be obtained through force. If he accepted, what would he use this technology for? Had they thought about that? Kyle says he already thought Arnold might not like it much, but Princess Riche believes this technology has the power to create a wonderful future, and that is certainly something Prince Arnold would want. Kyle came to this country because he believes in Arnold, his iron leadership, and the respect for enemy nations even in war. The truth is that Arnold is kind enough to negotiate here with Kyle. Kyle admits that his folly was trying to depend on the army of Gokine, but he still doesn't think it's a mistake to want an alliance. If they join forces, Riche's dream of a better future will become a reality. At that moment, the discussion is interrupted by Oliver and Theodore. He apologizes for the intrusion and winks twice at Riche, signaling that there is an emergency. Riche quickly says that she will need to leave. On the way, Theodore explains that Michael has eluded all those who were following him. They lost sight of him in one of the city's alleys. As Riche predicted, he was carrying a large suitcase. One of Theodore's spies appears. They have found Michael. Riche goes outside, where we see Michael surrounded by guards. Meanwhile, Arnold apologizes to Kyle for the interruption and the urgency of his fiancée's departure. However, at that moment, he calls Oliver, and immediately several soldiers enter the room, surrounding one side of the table. Kyle does not understand what is happening. We see an old memory of Riche where she asks why Michael cares so much about her. Michael believes it's the only good thing he can do with his life. When the princess actually finds him, the soldiers ask her not to approach him anymore. Michael promised to commit an act of violence at 6 p.m. Riche asks if by doing this he thinks he'll get Arnold's attention, and that's exactly it. Even knowing it might harm the people around him, he doesn't care and is determined to take responsibility for it. Michael is convinced that his existence brings only misfortune, and he even apologizes to his student. He says one shouldn't take his words too literally. Having Riche as a pupil was just a whim. At this moment, Theodore appears, giving a positive signal to the princess, who rejoices at the news. Once, she asked Michael if it was truly impossible to make poison beneficial for people. Riche approaches Michael, saying she was his pupil for a short time, but despite that, she asserts that even poison can bring happiness to someone. Once, Riche's old alchemy teacher told her that no matter how skilled an alchemist is, the results won't always be as expected. This is because Michael failed to understand the variable that is Riche. Finally, the time arrives, and the bell rings announcing it's 6 p.m. We see a sparkling trail go up into the sky and explode into many brilliant lights. Riche had created fireworks with Michael's black powder. Even though Michael only sees his creations as misfortune for others, it doesn't mean he's right. Perhaps it just needs to be used differently. Everyone sees the light in the skies, including Arnold and Kyle with the soldiers. Michael is incredulous. Is it really his black powder? How? Riche had been researching an easy way to differentiate one type of metal from another. Someone once showed her the northern lights, reminding her that metals emit beautiful lights when set on fire. She found a way to change the colors of the flames. Small lights in the dark can look like war torches or simple fireflies. There's not just one meaning for each material or phenomenon. In other words, nothing exists solely to bring misfortune to others. Michael asks if she planned all this just so he would understand, and why she would go so far. In Riche's memories, Michael said that to dispute someone else's research, one must show a counterproof. Even understanding the use of metals and powder, Michael never considered doing something like this. Michael admits that Riche is truly amazing, but the princess insists that he is the incredible one. She is certain that other things he only saw as poison have other splendid uses because he is the most brilliant alchemist in the world. Michael admires the beautiful view of the illuminated sky and understands that he really created the basis of something so beautiful. Riche sees that everything seems to have gone safely. Before all this, Michael had spread the powder and mechanisms around the city to carry out his plan to get Arnold's attention. Riche knew this and knew exactly where to look for these mechanisms because she had seen the original documents in her past life. Thanks to this, she set up the plan to collect the powder and fire them from cannons as fireworks, all coordinated with Theodore and his loyal servants. Back in the present, Count Lawvine appears to confront Michael since he announced an attack. He will have to answer for the incident caused, as they think he's responsible for the fireworks. Theodore tries to intervene, saying he can take care of Michael, but Lawvine cannot allow this. Michael declared he would cause an incident in the Emperor's lands. Even if it's the order of Prince Theodore, he cannot hand him over. Arnold arrives at this moment, asking Lawvine what he's doing. He kneels before His Highness and clarifies the situation. He intends to capture Michael and interrogate him. Riche tries to intervene, explaining the real situation, but Arnold says it's unnecessary. What everyone saw was merely a Koyal's academic demonstrating new technology. Lawvine wonders why an academic would do this in their lands. Arnold then declares that the Gokine Empire will make a technological alliance with Koyal's. Riche beams, finally convinced Arnold. Koyal's will provide manufacturing techniques, high precision, and academic knowledge. The Flower of Flames just now was proof that Koyal's masters technologies unknown to Gokine. Foreseeing that Lawvine might already know, Riche approaches and apologizes for pretending to be someone else all this time. He just smiles and withdraws. Maybe he already knew. Kyle thanks Michael for helping with the alliance, but it took him completely by surprise. He could have used less noisy methods. Michael says lives would actually be lost, But Riche interrupts him and asks him to stay silent and receive Kyle's scolding. Michael apologizes to both. He was wrong, his theory was completely flawed, and now he understands. Thus, he promises never to do something like this again. Arnold was talking with Oliver and his younger brother Theodore when Riche approached him with a smile. He says he didn't do it out of kindness. It was clear that Michael was plotting something very unpleasant. But if he were treated publicly as a criminal, his father, the Emperor, would find out. That's why Arnold took advantage of Riche's plan. Riche will explain the situation to Michael later. Arnold says if he decides to eliminate him in secret, he doesn't want to hear complaints. Then Riche says that the pocket watch was invented by Michael. His knowledge would be extremely valuable. Arnold sighs, seemingly convinced that Riche was sure from the beginning she would persuade her beloved. The townspeople also saw the fireworks. When they find out they're from Coyol's, they will surely support the alliance. She decides to call them fireworks and talks about her belief that everything has a good side. Maybe Arnold still thinks his skills are only for war. However, one day he will surely. Later, Riche and Kyle talk, and she gives him several remedies for his journey back to Coyol's, though the taste is still horrible. Kyle admits it's better to have a bad taste than to feel nauseous. Kyle thanks her from the bottom of his heart. It's only thanks to her that Arnold formed an alliance with Coyol's. Riche says it was actually Coyol's technology and all their support for academic research. Sometime later, Riche talks with Michael. He says Arnold is too lenient. But Riche insists that continuing to produce his best results for the Alliance is a severe punishment that a normal person couldn't endure. Creating things that will make the world a more wonderful place isn't her area, but he will do his best. Michael apologizes, saying that before he said being an empress wasn't for Riche, but she proved the exact opposite. But he thinks it's really a shame that she won't remain his student. Knowing more about Arnold is what she wants most right now. Michael says it's time for each to follow their own path and that they will meet again. Thus, he bids farewell to his dear student. Moments later, Riche's ring is finally ready, and she's excited to show it to her beloved. She hasn't opened the box yet because she wants to see it with Arnold. The Prince of Gokheim says she doesn't need to show that she's wearing the ring. This hits her like a cold arrow, forming a knot in her throat. She asks why. Arnold just wanted her to let him give her the ring. He doesn't think he has the right to demand more than that. Riche allowed him to give her the ring, but she doesn't need to wear it if it doesn't meet her criteria. She should wear only what she likes without worrying about others' thoughts. She refuses. When the ring was measured, she chose the left ring finger. In her parents' marriage, the husband places a ring on the wife's ring finger. Riche always wanted to be part of this tradition. She wants to wear this ring at the wedding ceremony and choose a dress that matches it. Even if he says it's not necessary, she will wear this ring all the time. She was actually holding back from putting it on immediately. Thus, she asks him to please put it on her finger. Arnold says he's not wearing gloves. Reluctantly, Riche says it doesn't matter. She just wants it to be now. Arnold sighs and agrees. He stands and takes her arm, leading her to the sofa. He lets her sit there and kneels before his beloved while holding her hand and kissing the chosen finger. Riche blushes, her body tingling with love. Arnold asks if he can touch her, and she confirms. The box opens, the ring is taken out. Arnold tells her not to hold her breath. She actually forgot to breathe. He laughs and then brings the ring to his beloved's finger, leaving her breathless. He asks if she remembered how to breathe. Riche couldn't even look, so embarrassed. Her eyes shine with revelation. The blue of the ring is identical to the eyes of her beloved prince. With this ring, she feels capable of anything. Arnold's mood improved much more than he expected. Riche asks for one more thing, to travel with him and see the beautiful things in this world, things he finds fascinating and lovely. He responds that thanks to her, he found one more of those things. Curious, she asks what it is. Arnold laughs and says that if she doesn't know yet, he won't tell. His beloved says it's not fair. Does he really think a normal person can solve his riddles? A normal person wouldn't explode a suspicious compound over her fiancé's house. Arnold strokes his princess's head, saying that even so, he doesn't think it's a very difficult riddle. In the moment, these differences may seem small. But one after another, little by little, the future will also change. She hopes to see a beautiful life alongside her beloved Arnold. This is her greatest goal. And so, the anime concludes, my dear viewers. It was a wonderful romance, and I hope you all enjoyed it and had a great time. Please click the like button if you liked it and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you for watching and see you next time.